Reason number 5 comes from the Old Testament character of Job. And it simply is God may allow hurtful times to bring us closer to Him. Job says, I know that you can do all things. No plan of yours can be thwarted. You asked, who is this that obscures my counsel without knowledge? Surely I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know. You said, listen now, and I will speak. I will question you, and you shall answer me. My ears have heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. For most of Job's experience through this horrific season in his life, he just was pestering God with questions. And then finally God showed up and showed His power in creation, and all of a sudden Job didn't ask any more questions. Now I get it that during the initial points of trauma that we go through, we ask why. And you have my permission to ask as many whys as you need to. God can handle that. But one of the things that God is really looking for is He wants us during difficult seasons to draw close to Him. One of my favorite verses in all the Bible is, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. This morning you may just be trying to hang on. I get that. It took me 7 months from when we left our church, November 4th, 2012. 7 months before I could even begin to grasp the idea that God may have some purposes for what I'm going through. But He wants us to come to Him. Because there's something powerful about being in a dark place and understanding that God's love and His presence can go as deep as we may be in that dark place. Let me finish with 2 big perspectives that I think will give you a big picture of what is happening during tough seasons in your life. Sometimes it's how you look at life that makes all the difference. First life principle. God's designed our future to be concealed. I'm not going to go in the passage right now for sake of time. But God's designed our future to be concealed. Think about it. God's intentionally veiled you from seeing all of your future. I think it's actually very compassionate of God. Think about it if God told you all the good that was going to happen in your life. It would take away all the anticipation. I believe it would take a lot of the hard work that we go to try to achieve goals. I think some of us are so into comparing that we would get our list and immediately, instead of saying, gosh, Lord, thanks for all this, we would look at our neighbor's list and say, wow, how come God blessed you that way? It's just kind of human nature. And so God is very gracious like that. But He's also veiled our future from the bad stuff. Imagine if, as you left Twin Rivers this morning, and the ushers give you a little slip that they were given by God, and it said all the bad things that you were going to face in the next 2 years. Some of you would not get up out of bed on Monday, or Tuesday, or Wednesday. I mean, we just couldn't handle that. And so God is intentionally, because He's a gracious God, He's veiled much of our future. And I understand that there are seasons where we want to ask a lot of whys. But ultimately, if our life is defined by asking whys, we're constantly going to be running up against the fact that God has intentionally clouded the future. Let me give you something else instead of always asking why. Just a tangible thing you can take away today. Begin the process every day of writing down things that you're thankful Leading psychologists and therapists are increasingly coming to the conclusion that regular giving thanks is absolutely key to mental health. And here's why. If you've been through a traumatic event or a series of misfortunate tragedies, your brain has been trained to expect more. Your brain has been trained to expect the other shoe to fall. And so we have to retrain our brain. I regularly go and see a therapist. I'm not totally whacked out. Well, some of you. We'll have to take a vote on that. I won't count Chris's vote. But I need some help. And one of the things that she has told me, and that I do every single day, I find things that I'm thankful for. And really, all the way from Oprah to leading psychologists, they say the same thing. Get in the pattern of giving thanks. Scripture says, in everything give thanks, for this is the will of God. Notice it does not say, for everything give thanks. But it simply says, in everything, in every season in life, cultivate the practice of giving thanks. For me, it's writing down a personal journal. And every day, I just write things that I'm thankful for. Because the events in my life were so traumatic that sometimes my brain just works this way. It expects bad things to happen. It just does. It's just like a little season where it's a little jacked. And so I just follow Scripture, and I just write down things that I'm thankful for. Sherry and I, we just share things. We just remind each other all the time things that we're thankful for. We have to retrain our brain.